Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris will be holding a rally in Philadelphia today where she is expected to be joined by her running mate, which has reportedly been narrowed down to two: Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro or Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Now, Politico is reporting this morning that most of the Democrats they spoke to last night say they believe the chances are higher for Harris picking Tim Walz, a big reversal in expectations from just a few days ago, even a day ago. Republican vice presidential nominee and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance will also be campaigning in South Philadelphia this afternoon. It's going to be his first stop in the Keystone State since joining the Trump ticket. And there's this: a new poll finds that Trump and Harris are tied at 48% in Pennsylvania. The two campaigns reportedly spending more than double on advertising in Pennsylvania than in any of the other 6 swing states. Axios says, quote, Trump and Harris go all in to make Pennsylvania the new Florida. Joining me now is Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser. He's a member of the House Financial Services and Small Business Committees. Congressman, this morning, all eyes are on Pennsylvania. Your thoughts?
Yes, good morning, Cheryl. Yes, I am in Philadelphia, and it is going to be quite a day here. We have Dave McCormick in town, who's run for U.S. Senate, and then we have J.D. Vance. And yes, I heard something about the Vice President Harris in town going to...
Just a rumor?
Yeah, just I heard it the early, somebody talking at the water cooler. But look, you know, this thing's going to come down to there's such a stark difference between a common sense conservative Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, who's the most radical, self-proclaimed, be more woke, ranked the most liberal United States senator in the Senate. That's pretty hard to do when you're going up against Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. So there's such a stark difference there. The vice president is very much minimized, even here in Pennsylvania. But I'll just add this, Cheryl. The idea, first of all, it makes the most sense. You know, Pennsylvania's in play to offer the position to our Governor Shapiro. But the idea that in the Democrat Party, it's so controversial that he supports Israel over Iran, and the party finds that so controversial, that's pretty disturbing. Democrats ought to be paying attention to that.
What do you make of this reporting that that Walz is actually more of the choice? I mean, that's Politico.
Yeah, well, that's what we are hearing. And by the way, Walt's latest comment that being socialist is kind of like being neighborly. It sounds as if he's going to fit very well with the ideology of Kamala Harris. Let's face it, Kamala Harris doesn't know anything about economics, doesn't know anything about international diplomacy or military. She knows her ideology. And they care, her and her minions care more about their ideology than they care about any sort of outcomes for the American people. There's no plan. There's no economic plan. There's no plan for strengthening our national security. They're anti-energy. They're for open borders. I mean, it's bizarre. It's gas backwards. It's upside down.
Yeah, no. Well, we were just showing the different biographies of these two men, so we'll see. It could happen at any moment when we get that announcement. But certainly, as we mentioned, J.D. Vance going to be right there, and you'll be there, I'm sure. So former President Trump wants to make the economy the focus of the 2024 race. He's blaming Vice President Harris for yesterday's stock market sell-off, writing on Truth Social that voters have a choice: Trump prosperity or the Kamala crash and the Great Depression of 2024. If we're going to get back to talking about the economy, Congressman, what say you?
Well, look, the so-called Bidenomics that she speaks so highly of was all about excessive spending, assault on domestic energy, raising taxes, making it far more difficult for small businesses to do business and large businesses. And what their plan is to double down. So the economy, industry, business hears that, they see that, and then take into account the turmoil that exists throughout the world. It's a very unpredictable environment, not one that has any pro-growth initiatives whatsoever. And so even if there's a 10% or 20% chance Kamala Harris could win, it's a nervous market, and it will continue to be volatile. And I think President Trump is absolutely right. I mean, his pro-growth plans to make the United States the most competitive place in the world to do business, to bring stability and to bring great trade agreements, that will create a boom to the markets.
Well, and so Congressman, maybe bring up the issue of student debt. I mean, let's look at the tally here where we're at now under the Biden-Harris administration with student debt. They've given it's $167 billion in student debt to 5 million Americans that they've forgiven thus far. That's something else that J.D. Vance could bring up today when he's in South Philadelphia, Congressman. So, real quick before you go, I just am curious, the state of play. Pennsylvania is in the eyes of both candidates right now. What do these candidates need to do to secure Pennsylvania? Is the topic energy? Is it fracking? Is it health care? Is it student debt? Something else?
Yeah. Well, you just went through a good list there. We care a lot about the border issue, which is a total disgrace. And let's face it, Kamala Harris was the border czar. So let's use that as an example of how effective she is in her tasks. The fentanyl deaths in Pennsylvania running rampant. Any chief of police in any of my small cities will tell you that those drugs are coming from the border. 20% inflation is on people's every day. They're feeling it in the groceries and the gasoline. So that's not a good thing. How anti-public safety Kamala Harris just is. And not taking any leadership when it comes to fighting crime, as well as defunding the police. And by the way, on the border, she wants to disband ICE. These are all things that don't sit well. They're not relatable to the Pennsylvania voter. And you mentioned health care. She wants to completely do away with employment-based health care, which is millions of Pennsylvanians. So they're going to have a tough time selling their policy in Pennsylvania. Well, Trump's policies are winners.
Well, she's been changing a lot of those policies, which we've been reporting on extensively. Congressman Dan Meuser, big day ahead for you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon.
All right.